I'm told that it's working. Is it true?
Yes.
Yes. Good. All right. Let's see what we can do now. Bright sun this morning. Birds, squirrels, rabbits, chickens, a duck in the temple yard. A little bit of a peaceful morning that I hope everyone, wherever they are, can also enjoy. Good morning to all of you in the 10 directions. From here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I'm Haju, one of the priests here at the temple. And with me this morning is Hayun, and she's one of our Dharma teachers. Welcome, a very warm welcome. A few weeks ago, at this service, I read from Wendell Berry, The Real Work. And once again, it feels like it needs to be read. The real work, it may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And that when we no longer know which way to go, we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings. Wendell Berry. And here we are in this moment of our history, like impeded streams, learning to sing. And in so many respects, it's beautiful. So many respects, it's very challenging. This morning, I like to start by offering once again the Bardo prayer. The Bardo prayer means a prayer for one or those who are making a passage. That's all of us. That's our mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, friends who are going through this COVID-19 time with us. I'd like to also mention the Native American people, our Native American people in the Southwest, who I've just learned have the highest percentage of being taken by COVID-19 of any place in the country. They do not have adequate water. They do not have adequate hospitals or medical attention. So as we say, as I read aloud this Bardo prayer to you, I would like us to say it to be said for all people who are facing challenge at this moment in our history, including us. We've got quite a challenge on our hands. So, and please ask if you want this prayer, because it's a good one, really, to be said every day. Can you bring the bell over so that I can ring it as we go? We often use it when someone has died in the Sangha, in our family. Now is the time to bring our full heart to it. When so many people are passing, so many people are in Bardos. Oh, compassionate ones, abiding in all directions, endowed with all-knowing wisdom and loving compassion, giving protection and guidance to all sentient beings. We invoke your presence and ask that you hear our prayer. O compassionate ones, fellow beings are passing from this world to the next. They have entered the great mystery of death and rebirth. O compassionate ones, protect fellow beings who are now defenseless. Be to them like a father and mother. Oh, compassionate ones, give guidance to fellow beings all around our world who are now alone with the joys and sorrows of their past life. Guide them to see beyond their blindness and to let go of attachments so that they may move freely through the passage between lives. May the power of unconditional forgiveness embrace them. May they be clear and unafraid amid the karmic winds that may surround them. May they know all sounds as their own sound. May they know all lights as their own light. May they know all pain and pleasure to be transient. O compassionate ones, help their hearts to be open, and may the thought of loving kindness guide them to choose a new life that will benefit themselves and others. May the sound of this prayer emanate in all directions. May these thoughts become their thoughts. May all doubts dissolve. May the power of our love be strong and clear. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, compassionate ones, manifest now your ancient vows. May all beings awaken to the unborn and undying Buddha mind, the source and substance of all there is. Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Para, Samgate, Bodhi, Svaha. Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Para, Samgate, Bodhi, Svaha. Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Para, Samgate, Bodhi, Svaha. Please let me know if you have not got a copy and would like one. It's something that can be recited each day, perhaps after your meditation or other practice that you have as a part of it all. And oftentimes, after the prayer, we chant Jijong Posel. And Jijong Posel is the bodhisattva of great aid, or no, great vow. Jijong Posel makes a vow to go wherever is needed to relieve suffering, even to hell. So let's just have a little Jijong Posel chanting together. And bring your hands palm to palm, even put them on your heart. And envision, help being given, help being received in a myriad of ways. Jijong Posel, 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 and on your lips, Jijong Posel, Jijong Posel, Jijong Posel, Jijong Posel. Even a little bit counts, every bit counts. When we put our sincere heart together with a little chanting, with whatever practice we're doing. When we first started these talks in March, I told the story of the Prajna dragon boat. And it feels like it's worthy to be mentioned again. It's a boat with a dragon at the front of it, dragon's head and dragon's tail at the back. And the people in the boat, it's a very big kind of canoe-like boat. And people in the boat are doing many different things. Rowing, bailing water, steering, guiding, chanting. Even bodhisattvas are in the waves around, giving support. And the idea of the Prasna Dragon boat is to get to the side of awakening, of relief. Of healing. And when we have our camp online, we're going to have the Prasna Dragon boat as a kind of symbol. We're all in this boat together, every kind of person, every age of person. We're all in the boat, each trying to come to justice and healing. And these days, the waves are like tsunamis. It's just like 10 times usual. So many things going on. And so it's all the more important that each of us take on our own practice and use our own lives to be of benefit. I, in particular, have a lot to learn. I feel like I'm really under the water. It's over my head, all of this. And I've been very grateful to many people who have been providing wisdom, providing stories, providing guidance, getting mad at me, so that I can find the wisdom, the compassion that is really needed in these times of COVID, Black Lives Matter, Mother Earth suffering. I'd like to just share a couple of stories about this, and then some specific guidance that was given and which I appreciate. So the first story, and I think I may have told this also some Sundays ago, but it's even more pregnant to me right now. It was when I think all of you have heard me say that I do Facebook with my family, my daughter, younger daughter, and her two very young children, almost 1 and almost 3, who live in Buffalo. And sometimes in the early time of COVID, she would be by herself with the 2 kids, trying to prepare dinner and trying to take care of them. And I would be watching. She would put me on her phone in a place where I could watch it all. And it was excruciating for me. I felt like I felt helpless. And so I would say to her, "Oh, Mommy, you've got so much to do there. I don't think you should also be trying to talk to me." And her almost immediate response was, "Mom, no, I want you to witness. Don't just leave, witness." She was really strong about it, and it hit me. So ever since then, almost every evening, late afternoon, around 5:30, sometimes as late as 6, I'm FaceTiming with them. And sometimes, especially in the early days, it was really hard to watch. And I wanted to just say to her, if you just do this or if you just do that, it was hard to witness and not form judgments and try to control. It's interesting though, I've left it alone. And not just because of that, but just because of her in the situation. Nowadays, it's quite a pleasure to watch them having a quiet, happy dinner together, rather than a lot of screaming and all kinds of other things. All aspects of their life, they seem to have worked out. And there I was, just being a witness. And I'm learning to do that in other parts of my life. But that has been a really important practice for me. Forget my story, my opinion, my interpretation. Just watch. So that's the first story. The second story is that, I've been in a bubble here at the temple. Others have been in bubbles. And so-called safe. What is safe anyway at any time? But a couple of weeks ago, I went out, and en route to the doctor's, I came across at one intersection a lot of police cars and lights flashing, and I didn't know what was going on. It was kind of scary. I've never seen such a thing. So I took a different route. I was able to get to my doctor's, and even over there was all kinds of police cars. And I was told that there was a demonstration going on, a protest about some violence in one of our police departments to an African-American woman. So it was, wow. Came out of my bubble, and there I was almost in the middle of this demonstration. And then the next thing is, on the way home, I had to stop for gas, otherwise I didn't think I'd make it. And there was a whole ruckus going on in the gas station. It was scary. And my credit card wouldn't work, and eventually I couldn't get the gas cap off of the gas tank, and other people had to be involved in helping me, and none of them were wearing masks except for me. And again, I was really out of my bubble, out of my comfort zone, and it was kind of frightening. I won't give you all the details because this is not all about me. But when I came back to the temple, the next breakfast, we had a little discussion, and I shared some of yesterday's time with the fellow residents, and one of them said to me, "You need to get out more, Haju." Period. And I thought about it. And I thought, I'm in a kind of bubble. In more ways than one, I haven't been out because of the COVID, but I'm also in a bubble in regard to Black Lives Matter. I'm not sure that I have really done very much homework in understanding. And also in terms of poor people in this country, I've done very little. And so I thought, well, you got to get out there into that and learn about that, girl. Then more feedback came from Sangha friends who said the temple needs to be better understanding of, let's see, I wrote it down, better understanding of just race and white privilege and all of those topics. And yeah, somebody else said, when I read, members have said, Haju, you've got things wrong. You should be emphasizing this and not that, etc. So I took it very seriously, and I began to search around. And there's really a lot of stuff out there. Maybe you've been noticing it too. There's very many ways we can educate each other. And I found some good advice from Kristen Mariah Fentroy. She's an Afro-American ballet dancer, I think quite a prominent one. And she was writing my experience as a Black ballerina in the world of implicit bias. And she was answering the question, I love my friends of color. How do I tell them? And what can I do to help them? And so she says, start by checking in on them. This is a traumatic time for our entire community, but reaching out to those close to you shows that you support them. While they may not always have the words or energy to express how much it means to them, because quite frankly, we are exhausted, it matters. In having these conversations, listen to them and really hear what they are saying. As uncomfortable as it might be, try your hardest to pivot your feelings away from yourself. This isn't the appropriate time to show your empathy by inserting your personal experiences because, in a way, it belittles the severity of what we are experiencing right now. And she goes on, consider finding ways to donate to the cause. Do your research and find what place you want your money to go to. Historically Black dance institutions, MOB Ballet, Black Lives Matter, and the George Floyd Memorial Fund, to name a few. If you need to raise money in order to donate, get creative with how to do that, and don't be ashamed to tell the world what you're doing it for. If you're crafty, you can make items and sell them. If you're good at teaching, you can teach classes for the sole purpose of donating your income. The options are endless. And then what? She continues, continue to educate yourself about why this is happening. Learn about the history of Black culture and oppression. Writings by authors like Ta-Nehisi Coates, Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou, and James Baldwin are a good place to start. Our dear ballet dancer continues, search for and sign petitions that demand racial equality. One example that is particularly relevant to us as dancers is the Racial Equality in the Ballet World petition found on change.org. Learn about the history of organizations and steer your support toward brands that don't promote hate or have a racial history or tendencies. The internet is an excellent tool for learning about the history of just about any organization if you take the time to dig in a little. Keep the conversation going. You have a voice too, and the world needs to hear what you have to say. My fight isn't over yet, and neither is the fight of my fellow Black and brown dancers. We will not stop until this art form becomes a space in which Black and brown people are welcomed, respected, and valued for their merits, and not the color of their skin. We will not stop until all people are recognized as equal human beings. What good straight talk, at least for me. And almost weekly, I get something from the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. And a lot of times I skip it by, but in the last few days, no. I printed out what their whole statement of purpose is, and it starts with, what is systemic racism? You may have seen it, but it's another kind of influence that is coming my way since I'm trying to get out of my usual bubble and open up my heart and mind and my wisdom. Finally, and time is a little sparse, I always am in touch with Zen teachers around the country. And in the last few days, I've been in touch with Eve Marco, who's a Zen master who lives in Massachusetts, and her husband is the former, quite well-known Zen master Bernie Glassman. And so I'm going to read a little bit from a little dialogue, Bernie and Eve, her name is, and Haju. Okay, Bernie. Koan study is always about standing in a different corner of the room and bearing witness. So all of us are in Koan study right now, trying to attune to what needs to be done and what we need to do. Depending on what corner of the room, says Bernie, you're going to see things differently. He's talking about we get to stand in others' shoes. The room contains all these corners, says Bernie. It's still one room. You can do something that addresses all the different corners? Probably not. But maybe you can, maybe you can't. Whoever you exclude will undermine what you do. Still, you must do something. Eve, the question is, how do I not live in a bubble? I'm up on the news, I get the information, but that becomes its own addiction and destabilizes the mind. More and more, I feel like the media, right and left, are our puppet masters using headlines like strings that pull us up and down in the process of making lots of money. Eve, have your feelings, but don't let that have your feelings, but don't let that become your bubble. Don't go home feeling good about all the indignation, sorrow, and guilt you feel. Feel it and get out of that bubble. Haju, I have been touched by those police and others kneeling, asking for pardon, being in solidarity. In fact, I saw a picture of the head of the army, some general, kneeling down before an Indian chief out west, asking for pardon for all that had been done against the Indian peoples. And it was really touching. I guess when I ever see anyone kneeling down and bowing, it very much touches me. So I say to myself, ask, listen, witness, what can I do for restitution, to help, to take care of people? And then Eve, what if we use circles to take care of people? What do you need? She formed a circle where people send money for her, which she gives on to farm workers who are very poor these days. She meets them in a little square in her town, and she passes on the money which people like myself might send to her. So interesting, the things that can be done in circles. And then Eve says, I vow to bear witness to the joys and sorrows of the world. And I say, ditto. And then Eve says, how do you stay safe? Our favorite mantra these days. When you're not safe during COVID, not safe before, and not safe after, what's a person to do? Bernie, never, always. Life didn't fall into neat categories like never and always. So may we ask, what does the world need right now? And how can we love each other more? And I got a little story from Kusa, our Dharma teacher in Colorado. He said that there was some meditation going on. It was in Asia, and there was an earthquake that happened. And during the earthquake, which went on for just a few minutes, some people just screamed all around. Other people hugged each other. And the leader of the retreat, the master, just stayed meditating. And so the moral of the story is that there's not one of these that is right. That we need to learn how sometimes to be able to sit still in meditation with nature. Sometimes we need to do some good hugging, maybe from a distance. And sometimes we're just really emotional and we need to be emotional and learn how to take care of these heavy emotions. Breathing, witnessing them, breathing, witnessing them, even talking with a dear friend. So it's not one size fits all, but maybe sometimes all of those we need to include. And the prayer in our Moon Journey Through Clouds that puts this in a place, perhaps for all of us, is the way of Bodhisattva. Thus, by the virtue collected through all that I have done, may the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. May a rain of food and drink descend to clear away the pain of thirst and hunger. And during the eon of famine, may I myself change into food and drink. May I become an inexhaustible treasure for those who are poor and destitute. May I turn into all the things they need, and may these be placed close beside them. Whether those who encounter me conceive a faithful or angry thought, may that always become the source for fulfilling all of their wishes. May all who say bad things to me or cause me any other harm, and those who mock and insult me, have the fortune to awaken fully. May I be a savior of those without one, a guide for all travelers on the way. May I be a bridge, a boat, and a ship for all who wish to cross the water. May I be an island for those who seek one, and a lamp for those desiring light. May I be a bed for all who wish to rest. May I be a wishing jewel, a magic vase, powerful mantras, and great medicine. May I be a wish-fulfilling tree and a cow of plenty for the world. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the countless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. Just as the previous bodhisattvas conceived the spirit of enlightenment, and just as they successively lived in the bodhisattva practices, likewise, for the sake of all that lives, do I conceive the spirit of enlightenment. And likewise, shall I too successively follow the practices. Dear friends, this is so awesome, yet it is about each simple moment seeing simply what we can do to be of service. It's called love in service. Please be in touch if you have questions, comments, would like the Bardo prayer, or even this way of Bodhisattva. And now Hayun is going to start out with announcements.
Good morning from the corner, everyone. I apologize for falling down on my duties as camera person, letting the plug unplug. There are so many opportunities for humility practice. Speaking of which, we have a couple opportunities for you here at the temple. The first is that one of our longtime members, Noble, is graciously offering. She is a person who has a steep history in teaching and talking about the suffering of African Americans. And if you'd like more to just engage with her, she's truly an amazing African American leader and member of our temple, and we're blessed to have her. And she's going to be offering to do a discussion workshop with us. And so we will get back in touch with you with more information as we have details. The second opportunity that I want to talk to you about is something that's brand new that we're going to be starting, which is opportunities for people to sign up on a list to come to the temple and do outdoor work in the yards and the gardens. We're going to have sign-up lists that will have only a few people on them. We'll designate people to use various bathrooms and engage in social distancing. But we would really like you to begin to re-engage physically with the temple by coming here and doing some manual work. And we certainly have a lot to do in the gardens, which are now totally kind of dug up and requiring a lot of care. And so we will be sending out to you a list which you are welcome to sign up with and begin the process of slowly reintegrating with us. And we look forward to that and seeing all of you. So with that, I'll turn it back to Hachi.
Thank you, Hayun. Yeah, if you're wondering where Maum is, she had traveled earlier this week to the Spring Wind Farm, which is in New York, about 2 hours from New York City, near the Hudson River. And she'll be there for a month. So Hayun is going to be with us here at the temple for 2 weeks of that time. How fortunate. Yeah. Again, thank you so much for just tuning in today and just providing support for the temple. Once again this week, we had several financial donations come in, and we appreciate that very much, with our expenses the same as usual, but our income down. But that's not been so much the case, because many of you have really generously supported the temple during this time. So thank you very much. And you can now go to the Zoom tea and chat room, or at noon there is the Recovery Dharma. And the links to those are in the e-bulletin and also on Facebook. And I think they will be posted in the chat room too. Okay, I think that's good enough. Sorry we've gone so long. Be well.